hopping along, I just wanted to get an idea how many people were at the combined prayer meeting. You just put your hands up for me, I can just see. Okay, so it's quite a majority is those that haven't been. So what I'm going to try and do is, I gave the presentation last time round. I'm going to give that same presentation but a little bit later. I just want to give those that were there at the presentation an update, then you can leave, and those that want to just have the bigger picture that I shared with the prayer group, then you can stay. It won't take us longer than half an hour what we're going to do now. So,
guaranteed.
As ek weer sien dat my Bybelstudie groep gaan, Okay, so please, you might not have full context in the first 3 slides because that's feedback to those that were here, but it will also feedback to you. It will make sense when you see the whole thing together. So just to say that last time I presented the whole Exco and session structure and the way we see it in this for 8 years, and I'm going to present that in detail later. But about a week and a half ago, the Treasury work. All right, there's a few more. Across the road, now, one of the things I really need to do is that we've shared with you that there's 10 ministries, okay? Those of you here, you'll see it just now in the detail level. And we're really trying to find people who will fill those ministries. Amongst others, Gordon has indicated that he'd like to do the men's ministries. So please, if you feel led by God, if you feel led in any way, please join us and let me know, or let Alan know, or let any elder know about your needs or your thinking, or whether you want to be participating in the ministry. And remember also that there are 4 Exco portfolios available for people to fill. And again, those that weren't here, you'll see it later on. We really need to try and get going on this, and my plan with session is that this will be done by the latest at the end of the year. We will know who's fitting each portfolio or managing each portfolio and who will be leading each ministry. So if we give that some thought, so we can get that all structured. And remember again that the whole idea here is to move out of session all the aspects that are day-to-day issues and focus in session more and more on the spiritual leadership. Right. The progress on the next generation leader appointment, and again for those that weren't here, I'll show that later, the whole detail, is the following. That the guy's name is Lincoln, and he's got a very funny surname, you'll see later on. We've conducted 3 interviews. I did the first interview just to see who he was, then Alan and I did the second interview, and then a team was put together by Session, which was myself, Alan, Michelle, and Gordon, and on the 10th of August we met and interviewed the person, and it was a very favorable interview. And then Session approved the appointment last week, Tuesday, so we will be appointing Lincoln, and he will be joining us as the next generation leader, and I'll give a little bit of his background to you just now. Now, it's important that it's a permanent appointment to Trinity, but it's on a 2-year contract, or a 1-year contract, renewable every year. And the reason we've done that is so that we can have a look at whether there is progress. We don't want to commit all our costs, and we find our way at the end of July, June, thinking, well, hang on, this didn't work out for us. Now, obviously, we do believe that the Lord's leading us in this, and we're just saying that there has to be a point in some time where we can just touch base, look back and say, is this thing working for us? And that's what we're going to do. How are we going to measure that? Who knows? We'll find our way through that, because we don't want KPIs, as people know in business, and KPIs, but we want some form of progress.
So try as you go.
Sorry?
So try as you go.
Try as you go.
Try unity.
Already we've got sponsorship for that. As you all know, this cost of this initiative is 135,000 Rand for the budgeted year. And we said we're going to try and find that money through sponsorships, through special giving, through whatever is needed to bring that money together. We have 2 sponsors already who sponsored the first 2 months of the appointment. So we're on the go. And there's some other things within our budget that we can move around that we think will be able to help fund some of that. I'm talking about provisions. Then there is so-called person X, and I don't want to put the name up there, Those of you that were in the presentation will know that there's a two-pronged approach to this. There's the permanent appointment here, and then there is the subsidized or sponsored appointment in St. Columbus, and we're hoping that these two things will work together. And this person is going to be appointed part-time. And we've progressed well on that as well. We met with the St. Columbus session last week. Is it Columba?
No, it's A.
Columba.
Columba, A, apostrophe S.
He was a saint. Okay, so we met with St. Columbus session last week. Alan and I went there. We helped Douglas really just put together for the session there our thoughts, our ideas, to position it correctly, put it in context. And we had a favorable meeting there. We went with the message to say that we as a congregation will sponsor them out of that 135,000 at 3,000 Rand per month for that appointment. And those of you that were with us, that's an appointment of 6,000 Rand per month. It's a part-time appointment. We know that Lincoln will work on the age group between 15 and 30, and person X will work with the age group 30 to 45. And this blend that we want to get right, this symbiotic relationship between St. Columbia and us, will be driven by this approach. And again, for those that weren't here, I'll explain it nicely in detail just now. And then the STEPCOM approved that last Sunday, there St. Columbus. So it's all systems go, other than Alan and myself need to meet with this person X, and we need to bring that all to fruition. Now what's not on this presentation is that, just get to this one. It's a temporary appointment, and the person reports to St. Columbus. Lincoln reports to us, the permanent appointment. But with over time, we'll get that symbiotic relationship to work. Lincoln is appointed 1 October. He has a problem with the first week of October because he's going down for a wedding ceremony. So I've asked him to work those work days in September. So he'll have a running start in September. And you smile at me, it's not that we don't want to give the days away. He's going on holiday to his dad in Australia in December, January. We're paying for 1 full month for that leave, and he's taken unpaid leave. So he's just in a difficult situation. We've got to get all of this sort of stuff. But he'll have a running start in September to sort of meet with people, get to know the situation, and he's on the go from 1 September. Now, that's the surname.
Pronounce it wrong.
But is his first name spelled correctly?
Yes.
Is it Lincoln?
Yeah.
Lincoln.
I first spelled it with
Not
that
Lincoln.
this normal thing, and just like I got St. Columbus.
How do you pronounce his last name?
Sorry?
Hardware.
I would have thought Hardware. I haven't tested it out
Because
because I
Beaver
always
is
call him
spelled
just
the same.
Lincoln. You know, that's one of those situations where you just stay away from them.
Hardware.
Okay, he's 25 years of age. Can you see that, Andre?
Yes, you know you.
Are we out for you?
That's a fine print, they say. Okay, now.
You can increase it.
Busy
You
with
know how to
4
work
year
your
bachelor's
computer.
degree at SACS. Okay, so he's busy with his 4th year. He would like to do his master's next year if the funding is available for him in terms of his grant or whatever that he's been getting. And he's going to focus on the Old Testament. He loves the books of prophecy, and yeah, very interesting man when it comes to that aspect.
Old Testament, he's going to look after the youth.
Yes, that's it. Solid grounding.
Solid grounding, okay.
I tell you, base, foundation.
Get a new generation coming up.
Chosen because of that. Okay, so he has some life experience, and this is quite important. It's not somebody who's just walking in from varsity. It's somebody that's gone through a number of stages in his life. He didn't immediately start with the theology part. And so he's got some touch with reality in terms of people and interfacing with people and that social aspect. So we like that very much. He was chairperson of the House Committee, just to give you an idea. South African represented the Global Next Leaders Forum in Japan. Vice chairperson of the House Committee. Mentorship coordinator in 2014. He's done a basic ambulance assistant. So he did a whole number of things like shop fitters assistant. He was in the ambulance service. He was involved in the hospital work. And you name it, there's a whole few that has given him a bit of life experience. And presently still an outfit.
That was Taibos, then it was.
And I
Bad.
correct that, it's a barrister, the coffee maker.
Yes.
So he knows how to have coffee.
Barrister.
He's present at each function. He'll have a little stall. I want to check it out.
Yeah, for sure.
He's currently at St. John's Presbyterian Church in Boxburg, and he's there, the youth pastor. It didn't work out exactly to be a youth pastor role, it became more Sunday school role. And he said to us very clearly that he's not one for the young ones, he's more for the teens. Which is good that he's open and out, because that's really where we want the whole approach. Then he's been involved a lot with Primrose Methodist Church, and he's been leading praise and worship in Sunday evening services. He's a youth pastor, or was running Sunday school morning youth services, youth leader assisting the youth pastor, etc., etc. As I said, he starts 1 October, but there's a bit of a run-in September because of his days leave that he, or days away. He plays the guitar, so he's very involved in worship, and so nobody needs to report that. And he has a girlfriend doing first year veterinary science. The most important thing is, like my boss, that's what happens in life. She's doing veterinary science, and he wants to be close to her. Obviously, he doesn't want to be sitting in Boxburg and all of those areas. At the moment, he stays with Douglas in Douglas's house, but he's looking for an opportunity to stay somewhere else. So if you do know of any area or any place or any spot that he can take up, it will help him with his own personal budget. He has a big loan to pay off for his studies, and that's part of the fact that we are paying the type of money that we're going to be paying. And really, for the update, that is it. Nothing much more to say. We've moved on it. We do believe the way it's all falling into place, that God's been walking ahead of us. It's been amazing how things have just dovetailed as we've gone along. He passed the test with Alan on his theology, and so he's not going to be jumping up and down in front of you. He's not the most, exuberant type of person, but a solid citizen, somebody who's got clear objectives of how he thinks to go about it, and he's going to be meeting the young adults soon, just to get to know them a little bit, and for you guys to get to know him. And so we'll bleed this in as we go along. So for those that have seen the presentation, I'm going to go over to the more detailed presentation for those that would like just to see the whole thinking, how we're going to make the symbiotic relation work, how we're making Exco and session work together. Before I carry on then to the next part, are there any questions? Okay. So I think it's exciting times. I think, as I said to those over the other night, it's a paradigm shift. We need to keep our minds open, please, and we don't snuff this out. We're in a position where it will be based on the Word of God, absolutely on the Word of God, within the framework of the Reformed theology, but we are trying to create scope so that there can be movement, and that we can help, or that we'll listen to God and grow the next generation and establish God's family here at Trinity. And so we go out in faith, and not everything's perfect, but I think this is a good move. We've been contemplating this for 2 years in different ways, and this will be my last home base this evening, because he will be doing home base in the future as one of the first steps in moving into the activities of the church. Sorry guys. Okay, that's my story in terms of that. And then those that want to see the detailed presentation, I'll go over to that. Thank you. Can I ask the rest of you? Don't you want to just do a little bit?
Yes. Yes, I'd like to hear the rest of this. Come and sit down.
I'm going to share with you Exco and session first of all, then I'll get to the next generation leader. And we've been trying to sort out how we go forward with next generation session and Exco. And so session's been looking at this for quite a while. And as I said earlier on, the principle here is to be able to focus more, not that we haven't been, but to be able to focus more on spiritual leadership and move a lot of the day-to-day issues to Exco. And so when we use the word spiritual leadership, I don't think everybody knows, not even session always, when you use the word spiritual leadership, what are we talking about? So just for an idea here, that you know, is that we've taken John Piper's definition, which says we define spiritual leadership as knowing what God wants people to be and taking the initiative to use God's methods to get them there in reliance on God's power. The answer to where God wants people to be is in a spiritual condition and in a lifestyle that displays His glory and honors His name. Therefore, the goal of spiritual leadership is that people come to know God and to glorify Him in all that they do. Spiritual leadership is aimed not so much as directing people as it is changing people. That rebirth of the new. So that's what we're seeing as session, as spiritual leadership, and the area that we want to focus more on through the structures that we're going to create. On the one side, you've got spiritual leadership, and session then really looks at what we would call physical leadership. And I'm going to unpack that further for you. And we're creating in this a matrix type of structure. You can't see clearly the colors here, but here's a block starting to develop blue, white, blue. But I'll become clearer as I talk to it. On the spiritual leadership side,
Welcome to the club, yes.
tell as you get older.
What does it actually say on one side?
We've got session and its ministries. And on the other side, we've got Exco and what we call support functions. So session on the one side, ministries, and Exco on the other side with functions. In those ministries, we decided on two types of ministries. What we call area ministries. Oops, wrong way. And they are what we're going to call outreach, which is worship and prayer. Downreach, which is Bible study and teaching. Outreach, which is evangelism, missions. And inreach, wellness, fellowship, inclusion. That inreach is really about we as a team here at the congregation. You know, how we're feeling, how we're interacting, how we're supporting each other. And so we've gone for that outreach, downreach, outreach, and inreach, which we call area ministries that cross all types of people. Whereas on the group ministries, you get the following. If we want to look at the next generation, you're quite clear what we've done there so far. Then we want to look at families as a ministry. And I mean, really what we're doing with the whole next generation is to bridge that gap so that we can be one family eventually. Children, men, I did put women at the top. But then I had to put the senior citizens. Okay, so if you look at that, there's 10 ministries, and you might say, whoa, that's a lot. But it is the area that we want to cover, and we want to build that up over time. We'll give others more preference than, as we go along, but we want to find the owners of those ministries. And that's the area that we're looking for people to help us. It doesn't have to be session. It doesn't have to be an elder. We're looking for people that we feel are led by Christ or led by the Holy Spirit to fulfill that. On the other side, we've decided to go and look at what can Exco do, and use that word about support functions. What we found out or realized is that we, the people that are normally out there in the industry, you talk nicely at session or you talk nicely at Exco, you've got plans and thoughts, and then these things are so difficult to get to execute. Because you can't remember to do this, or you don't have somebody to work out to get the projector going, and all of these type of things. So we said, we're going to find somebody who's going to be a facilities manager, sound, that looks at the sound system, IT, preparation of facilities. So that individual would have set this up for us hopefully, because it's very difficult when you have to do all of this, try to lead, try to do this, the sort of general management. So, and that would go across. So this person would provide that support for whether it's in outreach, downreach, outreach, inreach, or whether it's in those ministries. There's one person or group of people focusing very much on doing that. Then there's communications management, and that's getting information as well. And then there's internal, web notices, the notices, the leaflets, external drops, mails, signboard, just that general, in business terms, marketing, but collection of information as well. Then you've got administration, and I'm going to explain why administration sits in there just now. I can send this.
Huh?
I can send this to the people that want this one.
Can you do that? Okay, that'll make it easier for me. I'm struggling a bit.
Appreciate it, John, but I can definitely send it.
Actually, he's electronic, available.
I'll come back to administration just now. Then we've got training and management. So when somebody in men's ministry wants courses for Alpha or Fresh Expression or whatever might be required, they would help facilitate that and get that available. If there are talks to be done and you need to organize the presenter, that person or that area will look at it. So Exco would come and look at these plans over here, all of those plans, and try and provide the resources on the left-hand side to make that happen more effectively. And then there's the traditional, so that's the one, resource management, looking at library, books that we might want to share on courses, etc., etc. And then the last one is the finance management, which has always been there. So Exco has always been lately this function. We've now added that function to it already, so there are 4 more to be added, if I count correctly, to Exco. Now the admin side, we've tried to do a new thing here. If you look under admin, we're talking about liaison, and then general admin. What we did with the appointment of Linda Katz is that we've shifted the basic first level financial work to the financial management side as a separate issue. Okay? And we keep in general to really focus on all the admin work here at Trinity. But she needs to play a liaison role, and that liaison role starts by being present at Exco to have context about what's happening, so that she can liaise between all these functions and make sure that anything that falls down here is taken further, or people are reminded, or she can pick up the things that fall on the gaps. And similarly, she'll do it across that. So she becomes this liaison person trying to make sure that we're all reminded of things to be done, pick up the pieces that fall between the gaps, and hopefully be a level of glue or a level of oil to just oil this a little bit. Now, Sue's been working a lot with Linda, and that is being tied up very nicely, and there'll be more and more of her time available to do these type of things. And then the last little picture there is that, as I've said, somebody in downreach might be wanting to start a Bible study, for example, with Ask Communications to make sure that there's a plan that it's communicated wherever it needs to be communicated. That's the story on Exco in session. Matrix structure. And we really, when we did the church life survey, remember there was a feedback to say, a lot of people were saying, we're not involved, we've got skills, we feel left out. This is the chance. We're not trying to fill this with elders. We really want people to be pulled in, and that we can achieve one of our objectives of being utilizing the resources for good. Making institutional memory, quite important. Sue's helping us there a lot. She's part of Exco. She's helping me, we're helping each other to make sure that everything that we know from the past is pulled together, and everybody that starts to become involved here, not reinventing the wheel, for example. Okay. Right, I'm going to talk to you about the next generation leader. I think some of the numbers there because that's where it really started in terms of some of the initiatives that we've got here. Alan, in his wisdom, got Douglas, himself and me together, and we had a chat. It wasn't to get Douglas to be the next generation leader, it was a chat. And as we got through this chat, so many things came up that I thought could possibly work for us in the way he was talking about this person, that individual. But most of all, really what we mustn't lose sight of, there's a powerhouse of passion and energy. And you all know as we get older, we might have passion still, but how much energy we still got to do.